Psst. You. Yeah, you. Turn 10. Over here. Yeah, you. We need to have a little chat. As much fun as I thought I would have with the glowy blue lines, I never thought they would about ruin my Forza racing experience. I'm Skywarp72 with Cruisers Gaming, and today we're going to be looking at two major flaws that came along with all the great stuff in the August update for Forza Motorsport 7. Before we get into that though, if you take a moment and click on that subscribe button, I assure you nothing would help out the Cruisers Motorsports channel more than your support with likes, shares, and clicking that bell icon to keep up to date on Forza Friday vids. I thank you. From movie franchises to video games, not much else takes more blame in taking down franchises than laziness. And once experiencing these new track limitations, it really was the first word that came to mind. Laziness.
A race regulation system, which will be part of the game, sort of rolling out over the next few months.
All right, I think we're going to be able to see some of this on screen here. This is the new track limits system, right? Talk us through what we're seeing on screen here.
So track limits have always been a part of Forza. When you go off track, you get what's called a dirty lap, but it hasn't always been clear of what a dirty lap is and where those limits are.
Yeah.
One of the things we've done is we've completely rewritten the limits of every track, hand-drawn those limits that have been a bit squirrely in the past of exactly what is off and on the track. As you can see here,
when this was said back in May on Turn 10 stream, I assumed that Turn 10 was going to take their time with every track and thoughtfully plan them out to include rumble strips, painted areas, and, well, in general everything that was considered a clean lap before. But it's not the case, as the new system just follows the white lines around every track, even if the actual racing surface for any given track is outside of this white line. For those who don't know, I drive race cars in real life. I actually have the privilege of racing fender to fender on 3 of the racetracks in Forza Motorsport, being Miami Homestead, Sebring, and Daytona International. And if you didn't know, I also won a regional championship in my class in 2016, so understand what I'm about to say concerning these tracks is factual, and not coming from someone who autocrossed them once and thinks they're an expert. That being said, the biggest offender here is Sebring. As you can see, the white line goes down the left side of the track, on the front straight, a little more than a car width away from the wall. That white line is now an out-of-bounds range according to the new track limitation system. Wait a second. Look at the footage of this start at Sebring. Well, I do get a great start and I go up the right side. Look at the massive amount of cars to my left. You think going up the front straight they left a car width in between themselves and the wall? You get past in a heartbeat. Here in turn 16, the last turn that leads you onto the back straight, it is very common for us, and even the big series cars, to swing this really wide, not only minimizing how sharp this corner is, but giving you a better run down the back straight. Again, the track limitation system, lazily done, counts this as a dirty lap, simply because it's outside the white line. And there's more places on Sebring, but damn, this video can only be so long. Moving on to Daytona, again the white lines inside the rumble strips on the back straight bus stop before entering NASCAR 3. You see the lines turning red? Now notice how far onto the rumbles we go in SCCA. Now there's some guys I've seen that put all 4 wheels in the dirt, though it didn't really work out for them too well. And just to shorten things up, the infield road course at Miami Homestead. This paved area just outside of the rumbles in between turns 2 and 3 is now dirty, whereas before 2 tires off was fine. As you can see by my live action video, much like Turn 10 at Sebring, this is the actual racing line used by racers. Because to be able to participate in SCCA club racing, you have to go through a driver school, and the driver school actually teaches these lines. Racing is not a stick and ball sport. There is no out of bounds. That quote came from the general manager at my home track during a driver's meeting. Personally, since I kind of have a disdain for stick and ball sports, this quote is always stuck in my head. I know F1 and NASCAR have a white line rule, albeit it's only at certain tracks. And saying that about NASCAR is a weak argument. Why should B-class lobbies have to suffer because that's how NASCAR does it on TV? Get real. Okay, so maybe I'm being a bit harsh on the glowy blue lines. They are part of an upcoming penalty system that will severely penalize track cutting, albeit I kinda thought that's what the tire barriers are for. Yes, Turn 10 said that after the new penalty system is in place, however long that's gonna friggin' take, that they would like to remove the tire barriers. I can say from experience that losing these tire barriers in the game would make the tracks look more authentic, as most of them don't exist in real life. I mean, most of the tire barriers anyway. You're following me here, right? Again though, Turn 10 it seems is trading race qualities for aesthetics. Sure, the track may look more like the real thing, but with these lazily drawn track limitations, it certainly won't drive like the real thing in-game. The tire barriers, which I predicted in like July of 2017, work just fine, and I'd rather have those in gameplay. Now, as of right now, you can still run the real race lines in a public hopper. The problem is that even though it is a real race line, since it's a dirty lap, someone could call you out for track cutting. What's even worse than that is if this penalty system does go live, you could be penalized for driving the actual race line in a game that prides itself on being realistic. I can just hear the guys over at iRacing laughing right now. While this massive update was hugely big news for the drift community and the hot lapper community by way of the time attack leaderboards, this next ginormous problem also affects us circuit racers, mainly public hopper racers. While not very effective, there is a system in place that you can save your replays of a griefer crashing into you and share it with a Forza Marshal and maybe get a griefer ban. As if the job of Race Marshal wasn't tough enough, the new update does not show cars that quit the race in the replays. So, if a griefer wrecks you and quits out the race, him crashing into you won't even show up in your replay. Unless you have a marshal in the lobby with you, that said griefer could wreck other players over and over again with little consequence of ever being reported, by simply dropping out of the race. And it just feels like a slap in the face. Okay, don't get me wrong, this update was pretty phenomenal, especially when you look at the patch notes, which were so long, it will give you vertigo trying to read them. My Drifty McDrift buddies like Shadowhunter are loving it, which you should go check out his channel as well if you're a drifter. I would imagine he's cooking up some sweet vids right now after the update. The link will be at the end of the video and in the description below. For lobby racers such as myself though, this update leaves a ton to be desired. As always, I want to know what you think. Did you even notice the racing lines were out of bounds now? Have you even turned on the boundaries in your HUD to see what this whole glowy blue line thing is all about? Tell me about it in the comments below. Per usual, I'm very interested in your take on it as well. This week's subscriber shoutout goes out to Loft Mechanic. Mechanic and I go back a ways, and man, I appreciate the moral support and boost over the channel here. I mean, it's good to know someone over at Loft is actually still watching. I thank you, my friend. And as always, I thank the rest of you for watching as well. You can show your support for the channel by picking up the official Cruisers logo in-game, shared via my gamertag. Still doing the Twitch thing, much to YouTube's dismay, so tune in over there. You can keep up with myself and all the glowy blue lines on the Cruisers Gaming Facebook page, the link to which will be down below in the description. And nothing helps me out more than clicking that subscribe button and the bell icon to keep up with Forza Friday vids and more. Remember, friends, they're the family you get to choose. I'll see you next week, fellow cruisers.